Over the last 10 years, Ambiental PV's development has evolved along with the forest carbon sector. What was the most important factor in the company's evolution?
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here with the World Finance magazine at the London Stock Exchange. I would say that the most important factor for Ambiental PV's evolution is the combination of, number one, our mission-driven commitment to the conservation of forests in Latin America, as well as to the mitigation of climate change. Second is our entrepreneurial spirit, together with an outstanding technical team. And just as importantly, our flexibility to adjust to the constant changing scenarios.
So explain for us the market-based approach to forest conservation.
A forest settler in the Amazon basin, or a private landowner, or an agribusiness operator, all have very clear and tangible financial returns from their land use objectives and actions. Nobody clears a forest because they don't like forests. Deforestation is an economic phenomenon. A standing forest does not produce any revenues unless it undergoes some form of degradation. So a forest conservation initiative, to be successful, must produce clear and attractive financial returns to those people who are affecting land use. When a standing forest has a value that can be sold and thus provide financial returns, then we believe forest conservation can be achieved. So basically, a market-based approach to forest conservation for us is the capacity to set tangible values to a standing forest, the existence of buyers interested in paying for those values, and finally, the ability to trade and generate financial return to forest owners and local communities. Our focus is to generate value for standing forests so that conservation becomes more attractive financially. What Ambiental PV does basically is the inventory and sales of the services provided by standing forests in the form of carbon credits, water rights, and what we call biodiversity banking. We must remember that forests provide services to society in mitigating climate change, in water production, and in the maintenance and protection of biological diversity. The most effective way to achieve forest conservation is to generate revenues from the standing forests, and that those revenues reach forest owners and local communities.
So what have been the landmark projects for Ambiental PV over the last 10 years?
Well, to answer this question, I would like to separate our work into two fronts. One is advisors to other organizations, and two as project developers ourselves. As advisors to project developers and investors, our most relevant project so far was the first forest carbon initiative in Brazil to be certified and traded in the voluntary market. This project is located in our home state of Bahia and is restoring and protecting a forest corridor between two national parks in a region where biological diversity reaches a level not found anywhere else in the world. As project developers, our landmark project is an initiative to reduce emissions from wood-burning stoves also in Brazil. Most people wouldn't know, but the vast majority of the rural population of Latin America still uses wood as their main source of domestic energy. Over the next 7 years, this project is reducing the emissions of more than 100,000 tons of CO2 and reducing in half the amount of wood used for energy purposes removed from the local tropical forests. Our plan for the next years of this project is to quadruple the participating households and by 2020 reach the reduction of 500,000 tons of CO2 emissions into the atmosphere.
And finally then, what's Ambiental PV's vision for the next 10 years in this sector?
Well, climate change is going to become ever more evident, and cap and trade will continue to be one way to control the emissions of greenhouse gases. Certainly not the only way, but surely a way in which markets can evolve. Despite the growing evidence of the effects of climate change, the future of the United Nations Kyoto Protocol is uncertain. Nobody can predict today what's going to happen next year when the protocol commitment period is over. Nevertheless, it's inevitable that we will see either a new version of Kyoto or a combination of national, regional, or even subnational schemes. Also, the so-called voluntary markets are going to continue to exist. Corporations around the globe continue to launch offset initiatives, as we have seen a comeback since 2010. Besides forest carbon, we must mention that clean and continuous supply of water will become scarcer in Latin America and around the globe. And the costs to provide this resource to urban centers will increase. In this sense, conserving forests will play a key role in the process. And as forests continue to disappear in Latin America at an alarming rate, so is the loss of biological diversity. Within this scenario, Ambiental PV will continue to be a promoter of market-based solutions and a strong and reliable provider of services to investors, corporations, governments, and non-government organizations to maximize the value of our standing forests in Latin America.
Guilherme Valladares, thank you.
Thank you.